Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Formula 1 24, and today we are heading over to Singapore Long Point as we go straight to the qualify. Obviously doing two races, made it do 2, 1 and 2, no problem whatsoever, but thought I didn't change it with my performance look, that was the third best car, but George Russell is still leading on the championship, and the only one who needed to challenge George in Lando and of course the post lane. So if we recall back to last season, we had that moment of rain where I made a big mistake. I'm hoping not to do the same thing today at Lando, topped out on pole with Hamilton touching Charles Leclerc third.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. Things have changed slightly around the Marina Bay circuit. 4 corners have been taken out, the lap length reduced to just over 3 miles. That might be a welcome relief to the drivers, might be even more of a relief for their brakes. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Russell, Sainz, Daniel, Gasly, Sonoda, Oscar Piastri, Fittipaldi, Stroll, Behrman, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Joe, Verstappen, Ocon, Perez, Iwasa, and Frederick Vesti. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And alongside me, bringing glamour and expertise to our commentary today, Naomi Schiff. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say, they've got the better of them more often than not. Now, sadly, things didn't work out for them last time. It was a bad race. Question is, though, can they recover today?
It is true they had a really tough day in the office last time out, but they cannot dwell on that. It's so important to turn the page and start on a blank slate, because the more you dwell on that, the less it's going to push you in the right direction. So take some notes. Obviously, there's things to be learned, but move on.
As we are now getting ready to connect on to Singapore Long Point, of course with the rain are potentially going to be coming down later on, which I'm assuming is like the 10 lap of this long point, which, of course, last season with the similar scenario where we had to gamble and try to do something, we did not manage to pull it off, and Hamilton now pulled it off and went ahead and won the Singapore. But today, should have learned that lesson, hopefully, I'll do something different. But of course, we can see Lando, who topped on pole. Hamilton starts in Charles there. My attention is to beat Russell off the line. Hopefully we get that chance at the 5 and red light. It now begin to count down, and away and we go. The Singapore Long Point, fantastic start from Hamilton. A bad start from Lando Norris as we stand on the inside line. The gap was there. I took the lead and I gone ahead and overtaken Lando Norris, who has lost 4 places in just one corner. He had a 100th star, and that obviously something he cannot be dealing with, especially when he is in the championship contender. And I'm now gonna go the only outside line, try to get the overtake on George Russell, which I did put it off to that job. We now up third place and ahead of my teammate, who is pretty much got the best chance to win the World Champion this season. Piastri down P10, but McLaren needs both drivers in approximately top 5 and beat me and Russell consistently for the Construction Championship. But can they achieve it? We're going to find out, but this Lando not showing that good performances. He had that bad start for himself. We're going to check the replay of that late start on Lando on pole and rapidly lost place. He could have lost 5 places, but somehow Carlos didn't get the move done, which explains why he didn't get it done. He got a little bit sweeter to Carlos, decided to back out, which makes sense. That is why it wasn't 5 places down, it was 4 places which is, of course, it's a bit unfortunate for Lando Norris, but we jump ahead to lap 4. It now pretty much the top 5 all out battle for the win. So I'm chasing down Charles Leclerc, trying to find the gap, and I went to go on the inside. I knew it would not work out, so I stayed behind Charles Leclerc and to go for this different movement and pick the right time to go for the overtake and just be smart because I had to think logical right now I'm ahead of George, which means I got more advantage to catch up to him, but I need to make sure I finish the race in point, because last season we didn't do that because of the rain. We pulled up the wrong strategy. We're going to try to do something about that today and do a fantastic job. Carlos, Pichot, and his rival, who's behind him, is Pierre Gasly, who's currently running seventh. So Gasly needs to do a lot of work to try to overtake Carlos. But despite all the fight in the top 5, Carlos is not even catching up, and that's because the top 5 is on form to try to do something special, and Hamilton would like to try and repeat back-to-back win in Singapore long run, which is something you have not managed to do in a very, very long time. Not especially when with the Mercedes, he didn't really manage to tout that back-to-back win, that up front. Of course, he made a big move, joining Aston Martin, and he's not doing too shabby. He was in the championship fight, and he now lost it all because Aston Martin just fell up in the second part of the season. But we now get the DR in lap 5. We now start to make a move on Charles Leclerc on the outside, thanks to Hamilton helping me, putting Charles Leclerc in, offering him no chance to be able to defend his play. And I've gone up to starting play now. I can chase down Lewis as we've gone ahead in lap 6. We're getting close to Hamilton, and we actually start to put away a little bit from the car behind, but not a lot. We started making some spaces and stuff like that, as we now start to get the opportunity. Right now, we're going to get the DR eventually, and we should be able to overtake Hamilton very, very easy. So hopefully to pull it off as we're going a little bit more. Hamilton came in close, just managed to avoid me down door. We've gone ahead and taken the lead of the Singapore long run. I don't know why Hamilton was hugging that barrier very, very close. He shouldn't be doing that. That obviously blew him up and nearly going into up. And I don't know, couldn't do anything about it. So I was on the wide later on. So I'm perfectly clear of the situation. If Hamilton made the contact with me, that's on him, not on me. But it doesn't matter, we're in the lead now, we can try and start pulling away. I've been talking to my engineer to ask them about the rain. Is it coming down early or is it coming down later? They kept saying 15 minutes, 20 minutes, so you're going back and forth with that kind of conversation. So I'm gonna get, and I'm like, okay fine, 15 minutes, it comes down, and we wait for that moment to come. But we jumped to that 15, we can see a little of the rain is actually coming down, not too much, that caused a problem for me anyway. So we still, in the league, which is still, the top 5 is still battling. Yeah, we actually managed to overtake Carlos. So Hamilton is now going in this lap. So I'm kind of surprised because last season Hamilton actually stayed out and gone on a medium tire to swap over to Intamin. But that's not the situation here today. Hamilton in, Lando in, Charles Leclerc in, but some of them has been held up, specifically Hamilton has been held up and been jumped by a 2 car that was behind him in the first place. Hamilton is now locked 2 plays tactically. That's who's still out. Armbach is still out. Joe Behrman, Hulkenberg is still out. Stroll is still out. Piastri obviously needing to try to get them work. Again, the thing depending Gasly, Norway, Leah, me and Russell. And I'm trying to think about me and Russell. We can come in this lap, but it's about the time for us to come in. But I'm thinking I want to go on and put Intamin tyre on because that could be a better bet. And I was thinking, should we do that? So I've been speaking to my engineer. He's saying it's not coming out anytime soon. As we can see, it's starting to loosen lip, but the shade over, it's not even anywhere near it. So it's not even time for Intamin tyre. Russell is on a hard tyre. More tyre now coming in, assuming to put in the hard tyre on. I'm still out thinking, what should I do? So I come in, put hard tyre on, and hope for the best, or do I carry on and put intimate tire on when that finally comes in? I don't think that took work out. That's it. In second place, 21 seconds behind me. So I need to come in this lap to try not to make sure I lose too much play. And of course, in the rain, I tend to slow down a little bit because I don't have the right tyre on. My lip is now wearing out. The back, of course, didn't mean I did the disadvantage. That's the auto it acted disadvantage because Leclerc, it tried to catch up. Eventually, Lando as well. Hamilton is the same. And I'm going to do everything I can to try and just space out if I can to prevent any chances of undercut those loads to find out what we can do. Been speaking with Andrea, he kept saying 10 minutes. And I'm like, I don't have 10 minutes on this car, so I've decided I'm coming in this lap, put a hard tyre on, and just hope that we don't need the intimate tyre and the rain will stop eventually. So, we're in the pit now, put a hard tyre on, and hope for the best. That's it, who's still, quite far back. We might still be able to jump ahead of Leclerc, but it might not happen. We're going to find out what happened when Leclerc got caught up with the hold up. Charles Leclerc, we're going to find out. We finished our pit stop, we're going straight out, hard tyre on. We need to start pulling away when I finally get back on the racing line. As we now can see, the time is starting to closing on. Factory gone ahead, take the lead, but 3 cars that was supposed to be behind me had managed to jump ahead of me, so they pulled off under car. Carlos saw the see the live timing about to do the same thing, but we managed to slip by and stay ahead of Carlos start, but we're still in top 5. I'm not sure who had done 14 pit stop, but I didn't realise that. He's down P8, so we need to catch up to the leader, Mr. Charles Leclerc had overtaken Vassi, and it now pretty much to pull away to Vassi is going to be slow. He's on a harder tyre. He definitely don't feel confident with his driving style. He definitely doing the whole part to catch up to Hamilton, Lando, and Vassi himself. Lando not trying to get the gap on inside to try to do it. He's staying behind Vassi. So this is a good sign. We know they're finding they're slowing down. We have now managed to finally catch up. We can see them around the corner. We are that close to that good. We can now get involved in the fight, and someone had got a DNF, that Kevin Magnussen, who had unfortunately managed to do back-to-back DNF. And I know for certain that it is mechanical failure for Kevin Magnussen. That it's a bit of a shame for Kevin Magnussen back-to-back DNF. Not the way he wanted to go, but this season, for the last couple of races, it's been struggling and everything to play a teammate who's not been doing a bad job anyway. So, back to my attention, back in lap 19, we now caught up, and we got 3 more between Hamilton and Vassi and Lando. Doesn't happen side by side. Vassi tried harder to stay out. And of course, we can see he hasn't timing. He decided to do ultimately the strategy what Hamilton done last season. It's gone on and put the intimate tyre on. It's that going to work out for Vassi. Hamilton going for the move on the inside. He backed down from it. Oh no! A bit trap straight into the wall. That is nasty. That is a nasty hit. Over 180 miles per hour straight into the wall, all because Hamilton had backed out from his move and blew me off. We can see the time, the replay. Hamilton so close to the wall, backed out just like what he did in lap 6. He done the same thing, and I didn't expect it. So he backed out from it and tore me so straight into the wall. Not entirely his fault, but partly it is due to because he backed out unexpected, where I didn't really anticipate that move from Hamilton, unfortunately. So Charles Leclerc had managed to win the Singapore, Lando Sutton, Carlos Sainz, 3rd, Russell 4th, and Vassi is 8th. Vassi had managed to pull it up somehow, and we are 82 points behind Russell. The championship could be over. It could be over. But that unfortunately had ended our race early in the Singapore Grand Prix. We got loads of uploads, which in fact all timing, so that's good for us. So going straight over to attack the sprint, which you can see is the highlight for the sprint lane, and I'll attack the storm plane. I'm gonna do a bit of a talking while I'm watching the lane. So of course you see I'm in a pole position, so the 25 in the sprint, I felt very comfortable. I felt confident. I knew I had the pace to try and get the win, and I'll attack the sprint. But the unfortunate news is that the Sunday night we got a lane. It's a lane all across the board, the entire lap, an entire long plan, there's a lane. It's going to be instrumental. So we're gonna wait and see what happened there. But I do want to mention about the Singapore again because what happened there, you can let me know in the comment. What do you think of it? You can say that is it my fault that I got scared and backed out too quickly, or is it Hamilton's fault for backing out unexpected? But for me, it's a racing incident. It's 50-50 because Hamilton was trying to go for the move on the inside of that barrier. That was no space for him to be able to push through. Vasily was hugging the sideline. Hamilton shouldn't be hugging the sideline. He was supposed to move over on the left, or move more to the left, but that never happened. He decided to go on the inside. Didn't work out. Back down. I threw me off the court and I went straight into the wall. We didn't make any contact whatsoever. I think it was just an unfortunate incident that had happened. So that ultimately had made me lose a lot of points in the championship, and it's likely to be over. It's likely to be over. So we need to try and maximise our performances here in a tactic long plan, get split win, and the long plan win, get 38 points, and I took like 38 points scored to actually manage to close out gap again to George Russell. But of course, we're going to final lap, top the line and win this tactic sprint. I was so happy that I can see that I could do it. So you can see the lane, but for some reason that sun is out. But that probably mere little glitch, maybe, I hope it is, but it definitely had to be raining for sure. And of course, we have got balance out the field. We've now got some performance here. But funny enough, I am still on the top of the whole thing, because we brought in 5, maybe 4 upgrades before tactical plan. So just after Singapore saw the whole list of upgrades, that's 4 of them. All of them came in and put us on top of everything. So we got the best pay to do a fantastic job, and now tactic as I've now got the pole with land another extraction. Not sure, but let's see how tactics long plan will go.
Well, you don't need me to remind you that Formula One is now so beloved in the United States that we race here 3 times a year. But let's give respect to COTA, or the Circuit of the Americas, to give it its full name. This place laid the foundations for this moment and still remains the host of the US Grand Prix. It's 10 to the left and 10 to the right. I'm not talking about a line dance, I'm talking about the corners here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and turn 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6-mile track. But we may well see cars struggle to slow down here today as the wet weather interferes with the low-speed grip. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Daniel lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, Stroll, Tsunoda, Hamilton, Gasly, Behrman, Iwasa, Fittipaldi, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Vesti, Perez, Joe, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And joining me in the commentary box once again, Naomi Schiff. Hi, Gnomes. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say, they've got the better of them more often than not.
Yes, for sure. It is never nice to be on the receiving end of that teammate battle, to be the one not winning. But for the driver who is on the upper hand, it's a real confidence boost because, as you know, the first job in Formula One is to beat your teammate. It is a team sport, but at the end of the day, that's the only driver on the grid that's got equal equipment to you. So it's the best indication of how you're doing. So for them, it's going to be a real confidence boost.
We now get ready to track on to the tactic storm plan. You can see the instrument tile on all the way to the end, of no chance for the tire, unfortunately, but that's where I'm very good on the lane. I'm not the best on, unfortunately, for myself, but we're on the pole position. All we need to do is control the field and do something good, but I need to make sure I score and win. Because I've told Anthony Davis instead, I need to score 20 points in this long plan. So, with him saying that, it's my big effort to try to do everything in my power to get a win. There's a chance for two substances, but we're going to find out, see how everything goes. Hopefully, it won't come to that way. So, alright, now lined up to the win. With the tension brewing up between myself, Lando, and George, waiting for 5 red lights to get ready to go underway. Now, to attack this long plan. Fantastic start for myself, land another, had all that had to be for good start, Sean Russell as well, as I'm in the middle, we're going into the turn one, Russell and land that managed gone ahead, but they're gone too deep, and I managed to pull a swish back on 2 tires, in the turn one, reclaim my lead for the tactic storm plan. That was a very good start, not for me, but the other 2, yeah. But during the turn one, we managed to lead the mistake of George and Lando. He then went so deep and I managed to escape all of that chaos between them two. We just managed to slip through and reclaim our lead. So that obviously really good job for me at the piazza. Finally, put a good performance in 4th place so far. So I've mentioned that it's McLaren 30 Mercedes this season, and it's the ultimate power train who got the best engine. Is it Mercedes engine or another Mercedes engine in a different team? So that is what we are looking forward to. That is the claim, the title we are fighting to hold on to. With me still holding on the lead, doing a very good job. We've got to learn to try and manage the tire as much as we can. But towards that stage, I'm not very good on long lane. There's a chance that I'm not doing a good job. We just had to wait and find out. Verstappen, who currently in 6th place, not doing a bad job for himself for sure. Carlos suffered. Hamilton 8th, and he thought he had a chance to win the Singapore long point. He had to manage to pull that off. Charles Leclerc, who didn't win it, done a fantastic job for himself, so that obviously loud applause for Charles Leclerc, but we now going to top the line lap 4, which still hold the fastest lap, but you can see in my MFD, the tyre is starting to heat it up, and I knew I need to do some managing tyre to try to cool down the temperature and stop with constant reduction, movement that to cool the tyre wear. But that's something I've been struggling in this clear moment. I'm not very good at managing tyre. I know I'm good at pushing, but I'm not good being patient. And that's something I need to learn when we get into the new, the new series. F125 is coming out eventually. But let's turn our attention back. Iron Raptor is going slow. The Iron Raptor is out of the American long plane. That is unfortunate. His teammate Van Alton, who is 16 million, are not going to store any points today, that's for sure. Unlike Alton managed to do something spectacular, got himself up and got the point for himself. But you can see Jordan Russell tried to put pressure on me, and I managed to hold on to it just fine. Snow and Jack are battling with each other. Snow had done a very good job on block pad. So he stopped Jack Jacqueline from making any movement. So Snow very good defending there for himself. And we've got Olton who's battling with Vince Pandy and the Art. So it's a leading time to the field ahead of them. Olton needs to try to catch Fasti, but Fasti is clearly slow anyway. We've seen that in Singapore, he was slow. He clearly going to do the same thing here. He scored the point with obviously ended really well for him than particularly the next player that I have, but I had to trash the fact that it clearly not put in the leader that the next ball need Matt Verstappen is doing that now. That's just solid work for Matt Verstappen, but we're now coming to the end of lap 8. We have got, our tire is starting now getting really worn out, and I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to try to hold it, and you can see Russell is now gone on the inside line. He's going to try to get the move done. We try to stay ahead of George. We might not be able to pull it off, and unfortunately, Russell had taken the lead of the tactics long point, which is something I cannot afford to allow him to have it, because I have mentioned that I need 20 points to score to stay in contender for the championship. But of course, I'm not even sure if the map still count with the sprint win, but if that 8 point in, I might gonna get extra, maybe 12 points needed. So basically finish top 6. That's all I need. So we're gonna find out what happened. That's all we have to wait for to map. It's not good in the brain. And I have now pitted this lap. It's about 5 laps early than a normal pit time, because the tire is gone. So you should probably think tire. I'm gonna go for 2 sub strategy. I'm going to gamble on doing 2 sub strategy, although I have to allow the pallet to go loose. I know if I go side by side with him, I'm gonna lose a bit of a time. I'd rather be safe and just look over my tire is distracting what I'm trying to do now. It's look over the tire for as long as I can. Russell is gonna lead with 1.5 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. It's clearly to see the pace is absolutely massive between Lando and George. Lando needs to be ahead of George, who closed a little bit more gap on him in the championship fight. Charles Leclerc is showing P4 Matt, who's obviously P5 now. I have now tore Sergio Perez backhand, and I'm going to try and get the move done quickly and just get by him, so I don't have to deal with a dirty air. Because I was just slotting a little bit too much on that. I'm going down on the inside line now to get ahead of Sergio Perez. Perez is giving me a hard time, but we got by quickly into the try and to catch up to Kevin Magnussen. We know we can do it. We've got a really good pace. I'm obviously monitoring my MFD for tire wear to see how I'm driving. Is it affecting too much now comparing what I've done in that third tire I had on? I've taught to steal more tire to top the line and taken the fastest lap while being on the old tire. That shows that they are managing their tire way more effective than I can. So I'm doing something wrong clearly today. I'm not doing a good job on trying the tire for the tire to the fact the purpose such a flow. Which is true. I was caught up the Tubby Mountain in lap 11, going down the outside brake quite a little bit late, but try to be gentle with my trail braking so I don't burn too much on the tire. I've done pretty much a lot of lick and coasting. That is probably the best way to manage the tire, but unfortunately just 2 laps later, I thought the lap that I've overtaken Magnussen, the tire wear is now increased over 10%. I'm not recovering that well enough. How am I supposed to do that? I don't get it. Overtake the old time lap 12, trying to overtake Winter Panty in lap 13, caught up the fastest, and don't want to have to go more because I don't like racing again. The Winter Panty, he is annoying for me to drop again. If I'll be honest, I've mentioned about it back to long point, and I've spoken to my engineer to find out how far am I behind your 20 seconds. That far back, and I'm done for the double overtake. Can't do double twice yet. We managed to overtake back to no problem. Trying to see if I can go on the outside line of don't want to do it. We shifted on the inside line. Joe back down. We're going through and overtaking Joe, but Joe coming back in. We're gonna try and cut him off, and we stay the head of Joe 1-2, but the tire wear has already reached to 20%. The tire wear is done. We need to pit again if I want to finish to the end without any struggle. So I'm definitely doing something wrong with my tire management, as we got more tire coming in lap 15. Put a new instrument tire on. The team is doing a much better job on looking out for the tyre that is of course is unfortunate. It is very likely that I'm not going to finish in a way on the place that I need to finish to stay the contender for the championship, and as I know it, had managed to pull an overcut on me that because I've been in so much fight that I had to try to move the ball, and I've just lost a lot of the time, especially with my lip. Lando had now got the chance to potentially win in the Tactics Storm 20 day if Sean Russell does not make any mistake, which had now come in this lab. Slow it then, Piastri then as well. Jack, I'm assuming yes it is. Jack then, Bam then, Hulkenberg is also coming in, and I'm now, being behind Lando Norris. No, the other, so I got nothing to help me to beat Lando, because we are sluttering, having a good exit, because Leo kept snapping a little bit too much for me, and we managed to stay ahead of George Russell. We managed to get the undercar by what 6 laps all tyre. Undercar George Russell 6 lap down. George only timing for a tyre that is 15 lap down. George is clearly going to beat me because I had to do 2 stops. So what I'm hoping for is a safety car, one that's flat, to help my situation out. But I don't think that could be the case. We already got 1 D in that so far. That is Armbuster, but in lap 18 Lando Norris have paused away with 8 seconds now. Not sure. It's right behind me, and he got very too active, and he's pretty much gonna go ahead and get the move done. Piastri tried to get involved, but me and Russell are boxing the Piastri in, stopping him from overtaking me or Sean Russell, because of course McLaren is in the contender for the championship against Mercedes, and Piastri is doing what he needs to do to try and help McLaren to close the gap onto Mercedes. Russell is doing everything in his power to defend again the Piastri. Of course, I could be a team player and tell you, get ahead. I do the defending job, but obviously stand still in the contender for the championship. I will only go to defensive and won't have lost that chance for the championship. Matt has now just get involved. Going into the final corner, George made mistake. Piastri, unfortunately, he's been boxed down too far out, and now Matt to overtake, and Russell managed to save himself and stay in 3rd place. Matt has overtaken Piastri to try to get the move on George Russell. George is doing so much work that I'm not even helping him, and I don't care right now, but right now, at this time, because I had to come in eventually. And once that I come in, that my championship over. Unfortunately, in lap 19, going to lap 20, I'm now in to put the new instrument tyre, and the championship seemed to be over for me. Unfortunately, it's been a hard ride, and it's unfortunately could be out for the towel. We're gonna wait to see if anything could happen to your any statement car, but going into final lap, Lando is leading up by 13.3 seconds ahead of George Russell, and I'm down P14 have not done a good job on catching up to anyone ahead in point. So I'm out to point. I'm pretty much out of the fight for the championship, which start, but George Russell, he's doing everything he can, the whole Max Verstappen, but he's not to the catch up land on it. Unfortunately, Piastri knows the opportunity there for him to try to complete that 1-2 McLaren, so they couldn't actually close so much gap. But right now, I'm out to play. Russell is only going to be able to score 18 points. Lando, I think I haven't got a fastest lap. He don't score 25 points, while Piastri could score 12 points. So clearly combined though, they got about 10 more points over us. So the championship is construction, it's definitely getting closer now. With that, of course, worked down in the McLaren favour, and that all because I couldn't manage the tyre. That is on me for being a bad driver today. I'm a bit flop in the tactics long point. Unfortunately, trying to tell P5 not doing too bad. He can't quite do anything complete again to anyone who is in the podium right now. He won the Singapore, and that was in his favour. but today it wasn't in his favour at Lando Norris. It going to come out the final corner and it seemed to shut his flat and win the marathon run point. Russell is likely to finish second place if he doesn't make mistake. No, he does not. Russell is going to top the line to finish second. Matt is going to finish third.
It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
And just as a cherry on the cake, they've got the fastest lap point too. Just another one in the bag.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. And no doubt, they'll be celebrating tonight.
Well, here we go. The result to win, Lando Norris has done an exceptional job with the fastest lap to score 26 points that helped in the championship. 11-point gap between Lando and George, and the championship is over for me, and McLaren is now 44 points behind Mercedes. So we need to make sure to Brazil long playing. We need to beat McLaren, like literally beat them, because we can secure the championship in Brazil. If we manage to get that 1-2 finish, we will win. But it's 44 points. That means McLaren needs 1-2. Me and Russell have need to not be in points. That had to be the case for McLaren, but we're going to end it now, and I'll see you over in Brazil long time. So don't forget, please like and dislike my video, do my very appreciated, and peace out.